I'm Jeremy White, and maybe I've lost a step.
I'm Joe Marino, and you can't make that many mistakes and expect to win a football game.
I'm Jerry Ostroski. Young Josh Allen beats old Josh Allen in his own game. This is the Locked On Network, and you're watching Bill Squad.
Who's ready, Bills Mafia? It's the Bills Squad. Everything Buffalo Bills, every week. Breaking down the big hits and game-changing plays the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So gear up and squad up. The Bill Squad show starts now.
And welcome in, Bills Mafia. It is the Bill Squad show. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostroski. A post-game off of a loss. The Bills lose to the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, and the 1972 Dolphins pop champagne. No more unbeatens in the NFL. The Eagles lost today. The Bills lose today. They lose a divisional matchup to the New England Patriots, a game in which the offense was kind of ugly early, and maybe you thought they'd come back and win it. They rallied to tie and ultimately lose 23-20 on a big booming kick from a rookie from distance. So the final score goes as 23-20. We'll dig into lots about this game, but guys, usually open up here on our post-game shows with instant reactions. So, Jerry, you lead us off here tonight. What did you think tonight? The Bills lose their first loss of the season, a sloppy game. What jumped out at you?
Well, first thing, you can't turn the ball over the way they did. And whether they were penalties or they weren't penalties, you can't make that many mistakes penalty-wise and expect to be productive or have any type of flow to the game. One thing I think was evident, they preached in New England all week long, physicality, getting after it, playing hard. You have nothing to lose and make a statement, and you saw it. The other thing that was glaring to me, and Joe brought it up in the pre-show before we came on, Drake Maye rolling right, holding off defensive linemen and hitting Stefon Diggs. We saw that a lot in that stadium, but it was Josh Allen throwing Stefon Diggs, not Drake Maye. I thought Drake Maye was absolutely phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, and Drake was really good, and it wasn't necessarily his legs that killed the Bills in terms of scrambles. Obviously, the extended plays, getting outside to the right and making a lot of plays really just killed the Bills, and they couldn't hold up in coverage. And it's disappointing because you felt like defensively, it felt like a good enough winning effort, but the offense just couldn't get out of its own way. They moved the ball fine. That was never the issue. It was just making it harder than it had to be, whether it was getting behind the sticks with penalties, and then three very uncharacteristic giveaways where, you have turnovers, one that gives them the ball inside their own red zone, and then two that gives them the ball inside your 20-yard line. I mean, just putting a lot of points on a platter and taking points away from yourself. I mean, all leads to a 3-point loss, but an uncharacteristic night for the Bills. They don't lose at home very often. They don't lose division games very often. They don't give away the football like that very often. It all comes together for a 3-point loss.
Lots to get to. Your comments. You can, if you're joining us on the YouTube stream, you can, of course, give us a like, a subscribe, and drop a comment, and we'll get some throughout the course of the show. The episode brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned for later highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, guys, let's get to can we start with the final drive? Because I feel like a lot of this game going in, and we'll get to the Bills' mistakes, but a lot of this hype was, if you're a Bills fan, you heard, hey, young Josh Allen over there. He plays like Josh Allen. And boy, on that final drive, if you were skeptical, you saw it. Holding off a defensive lineman making that play, the whole shot to Butte. Like, you saw big-time plays from Drake Maye. And that's his biggest win in the NFL right now, a road win against a really good team. The whole who has Drake Maye beaten? Joe, like, that's gone after tonight.
Yeah, he definitely did the thing, right? And kind of a quiet first half. I wish I had the stats in front of me with the first half. I mean, it was a pretty pedestrian night for Drake Maye, but he obviously put it together really in the second half. He was cooking to Diggs all night long, but I think you make a great point. I think you saw the overall profile there on that last drive. The drive starter, I thought the Bills had a sack. I thought they sacked Drake Maye on the first play. Daquan Jones, 320 pounds, couldn't get him down in time, right? And he's able to just heave one to Diggs for 12 yards, and you're like, really? And I guess that's what it's like to play against Josh Allen, 6'5", 230, and can shrug off a dude and hit a receiver down the field in a clutch moment. And like you mentioned, the whole shot, between Bishop and Trey White. Trey White, for whatever reason, hesitated and wanted to drive on the flat, and then they find the honey hole and they get a big completion down the field, and they make the game-winning field goal. And so I think we got a taste of what Drake Maye can do. And, obviously he's an exciting young player for New England and a guy that's going to be a challenge for a long time.
Really, if you look at the stat sheet, you're not going to see anything on the stat sheet that's going to tell you that this game ended 23-20 for New England. There's only one spot. The Bills turn it over 3 times and New England turns it over once. It's that simple. I mean, you look at time possession, Bills lead that. They led total yards. They led, third down efficiency. They were 5 of 9. New England was 3 of 9. And that's, we've talked about how this Bills defense needs to be better on third down. They were tonight.
Yep.
There's still areas we want to complain. We want to complain about the defense. We want to complain about the interior pass rush, all these different things. Obviously, the cornerbacks had issues tracking receivers downfield for a long period of time. I thought they extended plays well. Diggs did that very well. I was surprised. Diggs has got more juice than I thought he did. Now, we'll see what happens after this game. Maybe he was amped for Buffalo. Maybe he fades away. I don't know. But I thought he was good. But seriously, I mean, you look at these things, all defense played well. But again, it was just kind of from the start. It was just a really eerie feeling. I thought New England was getting after it. They were playing physical. The penalties, there was no flow. Josh went into force the ball mode. It kind of reared, a few years ago showed up tonight, but we haven't seen it in quite some time.
Yeah, I felt like the offense just kind of came out a little bit too amped up. I mean, whether it was obviously some mistakes with, weird fumbles, but I mean, they're trying to do flea flickers. They're trying to hand the ball to Dawson Knox. And I saw Jeremy's tweet. It's like, was he going to throw the ball?
Yeah.
Keon has the fumble. It's just like, you just didn't get the sense that they were very settled. Which you're the home team in the rivalry uniforms in prime time, 8.5-point home favorites or whatever you are. And you came out like just not settled. And that's pretty disappointing.
We were at this game. My wife and I were at this game on the Patriots sideline, close up. We're in the third row. We leave at halftime, come home so we can catch up and I can be here with you guys. So we get a chance to see Diggs. We get a chance to, we're close enough to the sideline where we can see and hear from them. And when the Bills are operating on offense, Allen ran it one time and we heard Diggs say, that's the best thing they've got. Like a little warning, like hey, him running is the best thing they've got right now. And there was one other thing that worked in this game for the Bills offensively. Kincaid. Like Josh found Kincaid a lot, but past that, guys, like if you want to, whatever, we could start with the offense. We could start with the defense. Offensively, how many times did Josh Allen drop back, look, and there's not anything there. He's looking for something that he's not finding, whether he was getting impatient. And Joe, I know you're all 22. We'll dig into whether or not he kind of passed up things that were there. But man, the impatience that I felt, I don't know if he ends up being impatient. I felt impatience. I kept watching him drop back and try to find anybody open and having to take things by himself way too much.
Yeah, I think that's certainly an impression that I think it feels like the right takeaway off of, watching the broadcast. They certainly had explosive plays on the field. I mean, you had the 20-yarder to Curtis Samuel. You had multiple to Kincaid. You had a 23-yard strike to Palmer down the field. A couple of play, at least one nice play down the field to Keon Coleman. I think your explosive part of your run game wasn't there. Your organized run game. Obviously, Josh had some big scrambles, but James Cook has a long of 9 in the game in terms of runs, and it just never felt like you can get that breakaway play. It didn't really feel like they could settle into a play action game, but ultimately it just kept on getting hard. They wind up in 1st and 17 or 2nd and 15 a couple of different times, and on a night where you're not necessarily executing clean ball, you just made it harder on yourself than it had to be. And so, I think the Bills offense requires a rhythm to it. And I don't think they ever found it tonight. And I think that kind of led to Allen maybe not having, the available targets like he anticipated. They didn't get into their play action stuff. You didn't see them under center like you typically like to when they're in their 2-dimensional mode. So it felt like they never found their rhythm offensively. And yeah, not having felt like a lot of opportunities on the field definitely contributed to that.
One thing that I thought they did tonight, I thought Joe Brady did tonight is, what? You don't run away from the running game. You don't keep going to your running game with the back you have because he hasn't had a run over 9 yards. You've got to keep running the football. That's the fundamental foundation of what this offense does, is running the ball. I thought they went away from the run a little bit too soon. And it wasn't like it was a really that the score got away from it that much that you had to go to the passing game all the time. I thought they got impatient with it, especially in the third quarter. I thought they went away from the run a little too soon. I would have liked to have seen them run the ball a little more. I mean, you look at the carries, Josh had 9, so really only 20 runs tonight out of the Bills. And granted, like we talked about, there wasn't that big pop, but a couple times he was close. And I think they did some things there, but I think that let New England settle into a secondary scheme that took a lot of stuff away. You kind of watched it almost like I couldn't really – I thought maybe it was quarters and some other stuff with it. I mean, it was pretty much, try to keep everything in front of you and all that. But, no, I just thought they went away from the run too soon, and which takes them out of what they do well. And like Joe talked about, no play action and those types of things, and it was a detriment tonight.
Get plenty of your comments in throughout the evening here. Bills fall 23-20, the final score, losing to the New England Patriots in a much lower scoring game than people thought. Allen ends up 22 of 31, 253, a 2-touchdown, 1 interception performance. He was also sacked 1 time in this game. His counterpart, Drake Maye, 22 of 30, 273, no touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 4 times. The Bills' leading receiver, it's Dalton Kincaid, 6 for 108 on 6 targets. And rushing the football, this kind of gets to the point you guys are making about how the explosive run game wasn't there. This will be a callback to something we used to have quite a bit. The Bills' leading rusher tonight, you know who it was?
It was
Josh Allen. It was Josh Allen. And like that's something that back in the day, that'd be like, oh, you don't want that. You don't have that kind of built in. And I thought Allen, late in the first half, early second half, I thought he's going to start running it because maybe this gets to the point about being impatient. Like, we'll kind of find out, Joe, when you dig in through this, and Jerry, when you guys dig through this. But like, Allen running the ball is a good play they have. Did you notice New England's game plan was to just, hey, if we just don't ever let him out of the cage, we're gonna be in good shape here.
Yeah, he's having to go straight on a lot of his runs, right? And I felt like in some ways the Bills kind of left that front door for Drake Maye. Not that he got a bunch of yards scrambling, but he was able to extend plays to his right. And they're running like a stunt game that's sending Bosa in the inside gap, and they're looping around Walker. Walker can't contain Drake Maye. And then they kind of baited them into that on that big third down stop that Shaq Thompson's going to get credit for a sack. I thought that was a really good, like, okay, maybe that was all to set that up, but it took a while for them to like realize, this dude's getting to the right and it's killing you over and over again. And, obviously it led to a lot of extended plays, and, they made the plays and made less mistakes. They started making some big penalties, the Patriots did, in the second half, that I think helped the Bills kind of keep it as close as they did. But, a lot of sloppy. It felt like Sean Hockley wanted to play a big role tonight. That guy wanted some shine. And, it's you see the penalties, like, whatever, there's penalties called, but like the enthusiasm to explain that James Cook stepped on the field and therefore, they get the right to substitute. It was like, you knew right then and there that guy wanted shine tonight. And it's hard to watch a game. How many combined penalties were there in this game? I know the Bills had 11 for 90. New England has 8 for 93. I mean, you're talking about nearly 200 yards of penalties in a football game. That's tough for there to be any rhythm. And I think that was a benefit to New England tonight. Obviously, the Bills penalties felt very, very significant and kept putting the offense behind the sticks.
Yeah, I mean, there was no rhythm whatsoever. Every time, the Bills made a play, there was a penalty and things like that. And, I think if you have, it's so funny how officiating crews are so different. If you have an officiating crew that comes in, keeps the flag in their pocket, how much different that game is. But one thing, one other thing I wanted to talk about is, there's going to be a lot of criticism towards Trey White and the age factor, and, Trey's finally killing us and ever. But last time I checked, Benford gave up a bunch of catches to Diggs as well. This wasn't just a Trey White issue. This was a corner issue in general. I don't know if, Dorian Strong being out on IR now, if he would have been able to take some of those reps, maybe kept Trey a little bit fresher. But yeah, I think if you look defensively, as well as they did play, probably the most concerning thing was the corner play.
Yeah, and Benford had an uncharacteristic tackle that I thought he was going to make it, and they wound up getting a first down on it. And there was the one play along the right sideline. A heck of a job by Diggs to keep his feet down and make the play, and Drake Maye get outside and put it in the outside. And like Benford didn't even finish the play. He's watching. Right. He's like, dude, like, go compete. And that's a characteristic of the Bills defensive backs. Like, I know they are coached to like, hey, if they're going to catch the ball, that receiver needs to feel it, right? Like, even if it is along the sideline and they make that type of play where nobody can get, they got to feel you. You got to land on them. And that was just, for that to not happen on that particular play was just very uncharacteristic of Benford.
We'll get a break in. When we get back, we'll talk about Diggs here, the Diggs revenge game, all the elements that went with that. His numbers end up being just monstrous against this Bills defense. For even a bend but don't break defense, he got a lot today. Everybody eats, including Stefon Diggs in this game. So Bills lose. It is the Bill Squad show here on the Locked On Bills channel. Jeremy White, Jerry Ostroski, Joe Marino back in a moment here. Your comments, join us, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Drop a comment. We'll get to yours throughout the show as the Bills suffer their first loss of the season here on the Locked On Bills channel. This episode sponsored by Square. That's right. Square. The episode brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings. Square allows you to, of course, be part of your neighborhood, and businesses thrive. There's a spot here in my neighborhood we always go to. It's been the heart of our community for years, and the place you go to, you walk in, everyone knows you see people and they're on Square, of course. Sports, something that bring neighborhoods together, whether it's gathering for game day rituals, celebrating with the best wings in town, or just being part of a fan base that calls this place home. So with your business, choose Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. All right, the Locked On Bills channel, the Bill Squad show. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, the Big O, Jerry Ostroski. The Diggs revenge game, guys. His numbers, he goes for big numbers in this game, and it wasn't, garbage time. It wasn't anything. He was their offense. 10 for 146. The next leading receiver for New England had 3 catches. So Diggs had 10, and Kayshon Boutte had 3. 10 for 146 on 12 targets. An efficient game for him. 62 yards after catch for Diggs, something he was not asked to do a lot around here. And I just feel like, whatever, for people that thought he lost a step, he probably has lost a step. But that didn't stop him from absolutely chewing up the Bills defense in these little chunks at a time, and yards after catch for him too. Tackling a big issue. It's about as good a day as he could have asked for.
You're on mute, Joe.
On Saturday morning, I went through and I actually watched all of the Diggs targets going into the game, 22 targets. I did a little film session in our Discord channel on Saturday morning, and it was interesting to kind of watch the evolution of Diggs in the first 4 games for New England, where you watch that Raiders game and, there were some miscommunications where, Diggs was kind of sitting in zone and maybe Drake Maye thought he was going to continue to run. And there was a couple of goofy, like one bad interception and one bad incompletion. And then you saw like the evolution to the next game. They started to kind of lift coverage and give him some underneath stuff that got them some rhythm. And then by the last game, the one they just played against Carolina, you started to see, okay, there's the route running, there's the in cuts, there's the get a bucket type moments. You felt like that chemistry was really coming together with him and Drake Maye. And then I think you saw the full version of it tonight against Buffalo. And certainly it felt like Diggs was a player that the Bills couldn't really handle. I mean, especially with 27 Trey White on him. And, I thought the pass rush early in the game felt very good. And maybe it's kind of quieted up there in the second half. And all of a sudden, you're not able to stay connected, right? Like that's where your rush and your coverage wasn't together, right, in the second half like it was in the first half. And yeah, I mean, look, Trey White is not prime Trey White. He's not going to be able to cover and stay in phase for that long, and it's unfortunate, right? That's kind of what you knew it was going to be the deal. That's why your rush needed to get there, and that's why you had Maxwell Harris. That's why you were starting to work in Dorian Strong. And guess what? You don't have either player right now. Right. So what do you, Jamarcus Ingram? That's it. That's the only other option. Dane Jackson from the practice squad, right? So yeah, it's been a challenge for this team. And when the rush can't get home, 27 can only cover for so long, and he's given up a lot of production.
No, Diggs has got a lot of pride. We knew Diggs would be amped up for this game. And one thing about Stefon Diggs, he's got that front runner in him to where when things start going good, it's hard to stop him. We've seen it for years in Buffalo, and now he's seen it again tonight, but he's wearing a New England uniform. So, but yeah, I mean, I thought the pass rush was decent most of the night. It was a little bit stagnant in the second half. I thought Bobby did a good job of bringing some pressure, bringing linebackers and doing different things. Again, we can nitpick this game all we want. I just keep going back to Drake Maye and just the way he performed under pressure and the plays he made with guys hanging on him. Like the throw that he made towards the end of the game where he finds Diggs and takes a 10-yard loss and turns it into a first down. I mean, Drake Maye was phenomenal tonight. I mean, the guy was as advertised, and it should give, Bills fans a little uneasiness. This is 2 times a year now you're going to have to face him, and he's got the confidence because he slayed the dragon, and he slayed the dragon in its own lair. And, I've said for a long time I was nervous about New England. I thought they drafted well. They're building the team properly. I like Vrabel. You saw the attitude when they walked in. Everything was exactly what I expected. I didn't expect us to make the mistakes we made, and that's what killed us. But, again, say what you will about Diggs, Drake Maye was really good.
Some of it's fumble luck, right? Like the Bills hadn't lost a fumble in how long, guys? A year? I mean, they don't lose fumbles.
Yeah.
And they lost 2 in this game in the first half or whatever. Like they lost fumbles in this game, something that normally doesn't happen. You could say that that's the heads and tails flipping back the other way, and they were due to lose one. Like, I guess the question I would get to is let's zoom out for a minute and talk. Dorian Strong on IR. He's in there platooning with Trey White a week ago. Now he's out of the picture, and we don't know how long he's going to be out for. Are we talking about help at corner is top of mind right now? Someone go get someone, because Tre'Davious White, listen, I mean, he's a Bills fan favorite. If you're looking at him about this game, you're looking at him in the Miami game too, where Jalen Waddle, when they needed a play, where do they go? They went on Trey White. Yep. And Joe, should the Bills feel comfortable with what they have in the secondary right now? Or is this, okay, we're opening up a 3-week, 4-week window to figure out if we're going to have to do something there?
Well, I think the challenge is that Trey White is a player that gets you in trouble when everything else isn't going the way that it's supposed to, right? When your safeties are a little slow to trigger and provide help, or you're not able. I mean, the Bills haven't had a consistent player at linebacker outside of Terrell Bernard, and that's a player that's supposed to be part of the equation to be able to get some depth and help with the inside. When your rush isn't there, right? It's going to expose a player like Trey White. So can Trey White function if the rest of the defense is functioning? Yes, but that's not really been the case with enough consistency, and that's kind of put him into some binds. And I think the thing about Trey White is it's not like he's giving up huge plays. He's just giving up big enough plays on high leverage moments that it continues to kill your defense. Jeremy, I kind of this, and even Jerry, your thought there about Drake Maye and how good he was. Like I really do believe that. I don't want to take anything away from him and slaying the dragon and coming into Buffalo and winning the game. Like all of that's very meaningful, but I think we should acknowledge how much did need to go right for New England to get out of here with a, basically a last minute field goal to win by 3. They did have to get, not only the 3 giveaways, but Josh Allen on the 3rd down play that got stopped. They had to settle for a field goal in the red zone. There's like the second time the Patriots had stopped an offense in the red zone all year. Josh Allen needed to give that ball to Ty Johnson on the zone read. He predetermined he was going to keep the ball, and it's a wrong decision. Ty Johnson might have walked in for a touchdown. Like, you needed that to happen as well. You needed to recover your own fumble that, on the kickoff return where Antonio Gibson got hurt. I thought Mike Vrabel had some very cowardly moments. That whole right before the half. I mean, they get 2 plays from the 1, and they roll out Drake Maye. He was like 9 of 16 passing at that point in the game. I was like, how do you not just run it twice there? You had a timeout. You settle for the field goal. I mean, they won the game, right? That's certainly meaningful. They had a kind of a short yardage punt early in the game where I was like, hey, you're the 8.5 point road dogs. Are you going to come take this or not? I guess they didn't need to because the Bills were able to give them as much help as they did along the way. But I think, I am not taking anything away from New England. They won this game. They deserve to win this game. But the Bills had a very uncharacteristic performance that certainly contributed to the Patriots being able to get this done.
But I also say you don't take chances. You take points. You keep yourself in the game too. The way that game was going, I don't know if you had to chase a touchdown at that point or things like that. You know what I mean? And the other thing is this, was that a Vrabel call to run it or to to throw it or whatever, or was that McDaniels? I mean, who makes that call? I mean, Josh McDaniels has been a coordinator in this league a long, long time. I don't know if he has to get validated by the head coach to make a call. I mean,
I wonder if want to get into that call real quick. I wondered 4 seconds left and you have the ball at the 1 yard line. If you try to run a sneak, it might take 4 seconds for them to blow the whistle. I thought a sneak would be risky.
Right.
And maybe they want to hand off. Same thing. Like the Bills are not only going to try and stop you there, you're going to try and kind of like hold everybody up and, oh, look at that. The clock in Buffalo has ticked down 4 seconds. You don't get a playoff. So I didn't love that play call with 4 seconds left, but I did. If there were 6 seconds left, I think it's a much easier decision. Like you're kind of you're in a spot there. But I generally do agree. I thought the Patriots played kind of scared in this game. And while all the throws right. Well, while all the throws to Diggs worked, past that, like it's funny. It's the NFL these days, guys. You know how this works. We watched Drake Maye and Josh Allen, 2 guys with big arms that can run and do a lot of things. And most of it was about check downs, manage this, manage that, who's going to make the fewest mistakes. And, New England ultimately, did they beat the Bills at their own game here?
That's what I was going to say that. Don't we do that? Doesn't that what we do?
But they're not supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to be the Bills.
Yeah. Well,
because the other thing is this, and Jeremy, you said this in text during the game, and you talked about it. You said, what did I say this week?
I said the Patriots were going to lead at halftime. My pick for this week was the Patriots will lead at halftime because the Bills go through lulls offensively in the first half, and they did.
So what was more important for New England, to go into that locker room with the symbolic lead, or to take chances and maybe come out of it with nothing?
Yeah,
I think you got to look at it that way as well.
I didn't think the Bills could stop them. I two short yardage runs from the one. I thought they would get it in, but I mean, they pulled all the right strings. They certainly did. They won the game. They got out there with a win, and I'm sure that's going to give them a lot of confidence moving forward.
Yeah, and like we will discuss whether or not we have long-term fears about the secondary, long-term fears about the pass rush, long-term fears about the pass catchers. Like there's a lot of stuff to dig through from this game. Here's a bright spot. Greg Rousseau had a game, right? Like Greg Rousseau was a difference maker. They moved him from one side to the other. They had him going over Will Campbell at one point because Greg Rousseau was a factor in this game, and pretty much from the start. Like whatever. I felt like I noticed him more in this game than I had all previous games outside of like the 2-point conversion stop against the Saints.
Yeah, started hot right at tackle for loss and a sack on the first series of the game, and I thought his run defense was pretty consistent throughout. So that's silver lining for sure is that he definitely felt like he made an impact. I thought it felt like Epinesa had a pretty strong game as well. So yeah, you had some positive flashes there, and obviously you're down big time on D-line, right? You're down Ed Oliver, you're down TJ Sanders in this game. You lose Milano at halftime, basically. So yeah, the defense was able to kind of rally in some ways, despite being even more shorthanded than when they entered the game.
Yeah, Milano, anytime he makes a tackle with an extended arm, you get nervous because something's popping, something's re-injuring or whatever. And obviously that's what happened again. He made that one play.
Yeah.
You kind of seen him make it, but then when he hit him, he pulled the arm back. But, going back to the running game in New England, if you take away Drake Maye's three carries for 12 yards, I mean, they're 19 carries for 59 yards.
It's good enough. Yeah.
That's pretty damn good defense. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna slaughter. I'm sure we're gonna slaughter the defense again this week, but I thought they played pretty well.
There really haven't. Sorry, Joe. I was just gonna say there really haven't been that many games in the last however many years where 80 to 90% of fans will say the offense is to blame here. The offense was this offense is. Set your watch to it. And this was a game where they have 3 at halftime. Like, it's just not good enough.
But the other thing is this, and then when we blame the offense, we're going to blame the wide receiver room all week. It's already been happening, okay?
How long it takes
you can't throw a pick and give up 3 points, and you end up losing by 3 points.
I know. But this is what I would tell you. I mean, and I am guilty of this. I know you guys know me, and for better or for worse. Like, why are some of the things happening? Because they don't get guys open down the field. When I know they got Kincaid, like if they get their crossers, they can hit guys on crossers. I got Kincaid, I got Shakir. Like if I get Josh Allen time to stay back there and wait for a guy to run across the field in man coverage, they can do that. But just getting a guy to separate, and they can score their 30 a game. You know where they need a guy to separate? They need a guy to separate when it's the end of the half, and they might have to go far enough to score, to get one in before the gun. And I'm thinking about if the Patriots miss that kick from distance, the Bills have 15 seconds. So they have a guy that when they want to can hit open down the field and they can make it happen. And I'm not so sure that they have the explosive ability to do that anymore. I think the Patriots came in with a game plan of if we keep him in the pocket, we don't have to worry about anybody on the outside. Well, I think that ends up being true. Like Kincaid 8 and everybody else, I think the Patriots would take their chances with.
The part that I see, and we saw it on the other sideline tonight, we don't see it on ours hardly ever. Our quarterback since plays a long time too, but yet we don't seem to be able to regularly get a guy open downfield in the scramble game. We do some different things. I'm sure, we do it some, but that was tonight when you looked at Drake Maye, it wasn't like we were just getting blown up over the top. It was those extended plays and Diggs getting open. I mean, we don't do that very well.
I mean, to the Patriots' credit, they have a very good pair of outside corners in Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. That's probably, I don't know, that's a top 25% of the league corner tandem. And, I think they're exactly the type of corners that are going to be difficult for the Bills, right? The Bills kind of have bigger perimeter players in Palmer and Coleman, that want to be able to bully a little bit and be physical. And, these are guys that have length. They're both 6'2". They both got 32-plus-inch arms. It's kind of a bad matchup for the Bills. And so my expectation was always that this is a middle-of-the-field game, a Shakir Kincaid game, and I think that was pretty consistent with what they tried to do. I thought the missing piece of the passing game for me was the running back involvement. I think going into this game, the Patriots had given up, I think, the second most receiving yards to opposing running backs, and you had one target to James Cook, and that was it for all your running backs. And so I thought that was kind of an opportunity if you're looking for some more production and ways to move the ball. I thought that was maybe a chance. And look, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's you wish there was better separators. Certainly I do, but I mean, if it's 2nd and 13 and you're moving the ball, you can't throw it into high-low coverage on Khalil Shakir. I mean, like. Yeah.
Right.
And boy, it's hard to be critical of Josh because of how good he is and how much he does for this team. But like between that and keeping the ball in the zone read, it's like, buddy, come on, man. Those are two pretty critical mistakes.
To dig into this as like a big picture issue, Joe, they have to constantly kind of walk the line between harnessing his want to, because he wants to take it himself and he wants to throw it down the field, and he's great at those things. Harness that and match it with this is the right play in this moment. And sometimes Allen is great at that. Sometimes he'll, Chris Collinsworth praising him on the broadcast, and, taking the check down, he'll take the check down. And yet sometimes I feel like the offense is too many check downs. So like walking this line, it's always about walking this line with Allen in this offense these days.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. And I think whenever the offense is in a rut a little bit, I think that's when the variance of that shows up, right? Where sometimes Josh, where you feel it, he's like, okay, I'm tired of this. We're going to do it. We're going to move the ball. He's going to kind of will it. And then there's other times where, well, okay, there's the other side of it. It's not often, right? I think we have to kind of keep this in perspective. The Bills don't lose often. This is pretty weird, right? This is not a normal situation. But I think you've seen vulnerability across the league, right? I mean, we're 5 weeks in this thing. There's not a team that doesn't have a loss, right? It's kind of crazy to me. I feel like this is one of the earlier times it's ever happened, but this is 3 years in a row now. The Bills take a loss in week 5.
I still don't. Oh, go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was just going to say, I think a big part of this too is the fact that some of it was New England, some of it was Joe Brady, us getting out of the running game and not relying on our running game enough, and which kind of limits us. I don't think we can just go out and play drop back all day. We have to be able to run the ball.
Ray Davis got 2 carries in this game. Yeah. So we've been wondering where he would be. 2 carries for 1 yard. I forgot what I was going to say. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
I apologize.
It's okay. It probably wasn't that interesting. It's the Bill Squad Show. I'll try. I'll do my best. The Bill Squad Show. I'm starring some comments here. When you drop us a comment, got some stuff to get to on this loss to the Patriots. I know what it was. It was simply this. Like I said, it's not that good. The week where I was pointing out to Bills fans that Eagles fans were arguing with each other about how, I know they're 4-0, but something doesn't look right. And then the Eagles lost. And here are the Bills 4-0, and you've got fans arguing if it's good enough, and they lose 2, which it's probably nothing more than a reminder that this league is, you're not supposed to go 17-0. You're supposed to lose some games. You're supposed to have some stupid losses. It's on how it ends up going. All right, more of your comments More from Joe, more from Jerry O as we roll along here. Bills lose 23-20, their first loss of the season. We'll continue chatting about it with you here on the Bill Squad Show in just a moment. This episode brought to you by Mazda. Yes, Mazda, that's right. Mazda moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. And there are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, I mean, let's go with the Drake Maye shrugging off Daquan Jones and throwing it to Diggs. Huge play, followed by the Keyshawn Butte hole shot. Like, it's just big moments, and those moments define games. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Bills lose, final score 23-20 to the New England Patriots. Get you some of the team stats in this game. Bills fall to 4-1. Patriots are 3-2. There's an obvious follow-up here about the division, guys, because had the Bills won this, they would have had a monumental lead. Nobody else over 500, 5-0, Patriots 2-3, and the race is over. Do you think this makes it an actual race, or is it just the illusion of a race right now? New England's one game back, and if they were to get into a tie, they'd have the tiebreaker. So is the race real right now?
Well, go ahead and peep this Patriots schedule. Their next three: Saints, Titans, Browns. Falcons, they get that game at home. Tampa, the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants. Then they get the Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins. Yeah, I mean, I think that the Patriots have a very favorable schedule. And I mean, they're one back from the Bills with another game to play that's in Foxborough. I think it'd be difficult to beat the Bills twice in one season, but that's what's on the table for New England. I mean, look, they don't give out MVP awards. They don't hand out division titles after week 5. It's never happened in the history of the NFL. It won't happen this year. You know, you're going to play them all. And I think, you know, obviously New England's got a lot to prove as a team that is in year 1 of this regime that has, you know, certainly had their, talk a loss to the Raiders. They gave it away 5 times and lost to Pittsburgh. You know, I think that they have a lot to prove. I think there's something to be said for continuing to stack wins and doing it over and over again, right? That's the test of a good team, but they've won 3 out of the last 4. And I think they got a really favorable road ahead. And so you got to get back on track with a win against Atlanta, and you don't want to go into the bye week with a 2-game losing streak. So refocus and get ready for the Falcons next Monday night.
Exactly. You got, you know, this Falcons Monday night game was the game we kind of all circled as the iffy game of the first 6, where it might be an issue. You got Bijan and all of that. Now all of a sudden you get the loss at home against New England. It makes that game that much more pressure packed. They need to regroup quick because it's going to be a big one Monday night.
A lot of penalties in this game. Like, I'm looking at the side-by-side of what the two teams did, and it's a lot of the same. I mean, you might expect that in a 23-20 game. Like, first downs, close. Total plays, close. Total yards, close. Yards per play, the same. Passing yards, close. Like, everything was about efficiency. It kind of smacks of the Bills-Dolphins game, which was short A-dot and just kind of going down the field back and forth, and the Bills ultimately come up with a play and pull away. And, you know, it's funny, Joe, like Jerry, Joe, we've watched this defense give up lots and then make a play and they win a game. And this is a game where there probably is a couple of plays here. They make a sack, but it's their best defensive game, just fundamentally kind of maybe start to finish without that big kind of splash play.
Yeah, it's not been a very connected team all year, right? I think you saw moments of it late in the Baltimore game. But for the most part, it maybe a little bit against the Jets, but you haven't seen the Bills put together a true game of complementary football where each unit's playing off of each other and it's connected. It's not happened to this point. And so, I mean, I think you can look at it one of 2 ways. You can look at it at, is it ever going to happen? Or are you happy that it hasn't happened yet? And there's a lot of season left for the Bills to play their best football. But, you know, I think it's kind of that point in the year where you'd like to kind of be hitting your stride, but this was always the challenge that you kind of had, especially on the defensive side of the football, like where even if Maxwell Harrison was healthy and doing what you needed to do, you're still not at full strength with, you know, the guys that are suspended. And it's, you know, that was kind of my thought with, you know, the way that you are building the front with Ogunjobi and Hoyt, you know, that's materially different for 6 games at the point in the season where you want to be kind of hitting your stride as a defense. And so I still kind of feel like they got to find their bread and butter a little bit defensively. And hopefully that's in the form of reinforcements and those guys stepping in and being able to make an impact. But, I guess the question that I have is when do they hit their stride? And, is that delayed because of the lack of availability of players that you are really relying on? And so that's a big question. And what does it look like? How good is this team when it is connected? And, are they the type of team that can show those dominant stretches? Because I don't think you've seen that to this point. They're 4-1. There's been some good, but we're looking for this to be more of a connected team that plays complementary football, and we haven't seen it yet.
I feel like really weird right now about all this because I keep going back to what am I looking at? What do I think? And I still keep going back to the same two things. Our quarterback got outplayed by their quarterback, and we turned the ball over too much. The defense did a hell of a job after the first fumble, holding them to 3 points. Then the interception cost us 3 points. There's 6 points right there off of with 2 turnovers. And it could even have been worse. And defense kept them out of the end zone and all that. But I don't know, man. It's like I keep trying to find this analysis in my mind of what I saw. And, I have a few things, but that's what I keep going back to is those two things.
How often are you going to get that marriage, though, Jerry? How often are you going to say the Bills played a game, their quarterback outplayed ours,
right?
And the Bills
exactly.
gave it away 3 times. It's like
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Is
and
it that simple?
Right. But to me, it is right now. I mean, that's why I keep feeling. I'm sure when I look at the all 22, I could say, hey, so and so played horribly, or so and so didn't play well, but just after watching it and ingesting it, and then it's over. You look at it, and to me, it's that. And like you said, that is an anomaly. I don't know the last time we could ever say we saw that. It's been a long, long time, but that's what happened. And whether it be like we talked about, the Bills offense was just way hyped up early, the penalties, whatever you want to say. I'll say what you can say what you will about some of the decision-making of Vrabel. I thought that football team came in ready to fight, ready to hit people in the face, and they forced the issue early. I didn't think they played scared at all. Maybe some of the decisions were scared, but I don't think the players played scared. It's just that's what I'm saying. It's hard for me right now. I keep going back to that. I'm like, you can't turn it over. And when the hell has our quarterback ever been outplayed? And I know Josh had more yards. I think he had more yards, but. He had 250. Well, no, he didn't. Drake Maye had 273, had 253. But I mean, that's what I just keep going back to. And I don't know if that's right, wrong, or different, but I just kind of see it as that simple.
Well, I wonder about I'm looking at Maye v. Allen in this game, and their quarterback rating: Allen 103, Maye 101, QBR Allen 50, Maye 64, and that might just be because Allen would have been credited with that fumble for Knox, right?
Yeah.
Because Allen didn't lose a fumble. So they might have played the same game. And, that's where it comes down to who had the last possession, who makes this, the throw to Butte, who makes the play when looking for Stefon Diggs there. So I don't think it's crazy to say that he outplayed Allen in this game. It'll really be so interesting to hear how the Bills respond to this and what they think about it, how seriously they take it. Like, they're going to lose games along the way. They're a team that's focused on, January. They're focused on bigger picture stuff and probably not expecting to win every game that they play. So they'll easily kind of put this down. For New England, it's a rally point. Put it this way, guys. Is this not for New England what the Ravens game was for the Bills to a degree, where you win a game you thought you wouldn't, do, and belief builds. So if nothing else, like maybe New England gets a lot of belief building out of this game because we went to Buffalo. They're unbeaten, and we beat them on the road. And this kid, who we all kind of think is pretty good, like all of a sudden, the belief is even more there.
Well, I think that is all very true, and I still think it's a week-to-week league where there's no transitive property, right? So they're going to have to go and prove it all over again next week. And like we talked about, they got a very favorable schedule, but I think the Bills have as well. I mean, they just got done with a stretch of the Saints, Jets, and Dolphins, right? So I mean, it goes both ways on that. I think we do talk about these quarterbacks. The Bills had the ball 1st and 10 at the New England 27 with 2:46 left in the game. And the Bills were down 20-17. And it was 3 straight incomplete passes, right? Incomplete to Shakir, right? This is when the Bills had to settle for the field goal to tie it instead of having a go-ahead field goal, a touchdown that would then make them score a touchdown. 3 straight incomplete passes. They tried to get the quick one to Shakir, couldn't come up with a catch. Then the scramble drill where Josh heaves one up to Keon Coleman that was never really going to be caught. And then you have your third down where you go back to Shakir over the middle of the field. I mean, it was like that. That's when you had to make the play. And I think that's probably to Jeremy's point about the separation and then the scramble drill work where it wasn't there. And that's when you needed it. And the moment where it mattered most, you had to settle for a 45-yard field goal and hope that your defense could limit them to no points. And they made the plays.
Did you think that was pass interference?
On the Shakir play, is that 100% early? Yeah. Yeah, especially for how they called the game all game long. Yeah, I thought that was false. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. They set a precedent early, and
they're calling everything. Yeah,
that wasn't what. Yeah,
okay.
And that wasn't what happened on that one.
Right.
Get some comments in here. I had something else I wanted to bring up as you're talking about that, Joe, and things just slip my mind. These post game shows, like this, the game ended. You're thinking about things from the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, all on and on and on. So we'll step aside. We'll get some of your comments in. Drop us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We got one more segment here to kind of chop it up with you. The Bills lose, and I don't want anybody blaming the uniforms. Quick aside, guys, you know how good that stadium looked? Completely the whiteout.
Yeah.
The Mafia showed up and was in for that, and it was awesome. Walking in for the first time and seeing all those white shirts and white jerseys, it was an amazing atmosphere. It is too bad they lost because people will blame the uniforms now, which, I'm not too interested in, but that'll probably happen. All right, back on the other side, your comments, your questions, things you want to get to here. Bills lose 23-20 to New England, and we're talking about it here on the Bill Squad Show. This episode is sponsored by and brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put $5 down. If it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So if you like to jump on parlays, I had one today, a 4-leg anytime touchdown parlay. All running backs, lead backs, favor to score, and they all did. Was great. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel can make the game day experience that much better. It makes football watching even more exciting. You've got a little something riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, time to get some comments. We've got lots of people. We're up to 1,700 watching live and an awful lot of comments throughout the show. We'll revisit some. Some are from earlier conversations. Steven writes in, I heard Bosa's name exactly never. One of our predictions, we thought think this would be a Bosa game, but not so much.
No, he wasn't. I thought he did some good things. I think Rousseau showing up with some of them paying a lot of attention to where Bosa was. I did see multiple times he was chipped by backs coming out of the backfield and tight ends and things like that. But no, I thought he would be more productive, and he wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You expect him to have a bigger game, and it's like, can it all get going together at the same time, right? You got some plays out of Rousseau, and you didn't get it out of Bosa. He had one nice run tackle, but other than that, it was a quiet night from Bosa.
AC points out, in 2024, the Bills lost in Week 5, 23-20 to the Texans, and the Texans' leading receiver was Stefon Diggs. Gentlemen, time's a flat circle. Week 5, the very next year. Now, the lesson from that game was the Bills' receivers aren't good enough, and they went out and they traded for Amari Cooper, right? They soon wanted to pursue some help with the position. I don't anticipate that's going to be the case this time around, but Diggs is now 2-0 post-Bills, and he's got a second straight revenge game. This time he was a much bigger factor in terms of what they did.
Yeah, he was the offensive catalyst, and you can kind of see as he was starting to get going, they were able to hit that big throw to Henry. They had a few throws to Boutte. They got a nice run from Stevenson. It was an important part of unlocking their offense because I thought the Patriots, I mean, look, the Bills were pretty stagnant, I think, for most of the game, but the Patriots were as well. They had their low as well. It was a 6-3 game at halftime, but as that started to cook up in the second half, I think it opened up their entire offense, and obviously they got it done.
And you saw his experience. I mean, the multiple moves he made. Collinsworth, of course, highlighted it about 652 times tonight, but you saw the multiple moves he made on scramble drills to get open, to get away from Trey White and things like that. He is, he's he's still good. We know who he is, but his experience really helped him tonight, especially in those extended plays.
One quick note on the inactive list, like who played and who didn't. Curtis Samuel in, Elijah Moore out. As we constantly talk about this receiver room, Samuel had missed all of camp. Hamstring injury had been a non-factor. We wondered if we would ever see him. Last week he gets in, and tonight he's in, and he's a bigger part of the offense. Like I think that's one thing. If you're looking for more from the receivers, from 2 weeks ago to last week to this week, I think we're seeing like the ramping up of Curtis Samuel into his regular job.
Yeah, 20-yard catch, had a touchdown reception, and had a nice 7-yard run that was negated by a pretty soft holding call. So, yeah, it was good to see him be a bit of an X factor in this game. And, I was wondering how they were going to kind of handle that receiver spot because they had them all up last week, right? And Moore's not been without making some contributions to this team, but I think with them being down like Dorian Williams on special teams and being down Dorian Strong, who's also a very important player for special teams, like he was gunning on the punt team. He was the jammer on the punt return team.
He's a returner.
Yeah. So I think they needed to kind of make sure that they could have the special teams contributions that they needed. And, Elijah Moore is not going to help you in that capacity.
Yeah. He returned kicks. He was, part of that deal. And obviously he's healthy, because that move he made, that play in the low red zone was nice to him, that touchdown. Yeah. So I think maybe this is the first time we've finally seen him at full capacity to where he can do what they expect him to do with his health being good.
I thought Joe Brady called a really nice game in the low red zone between the Samuel play, which was a walk-in, and the Coleman touchdown, where Allen kind of throws that to a spot. Like, good game from Joe Brady when they got in tight. They finished the job.
Yeah, 2 of 4.
Boy, it's seeing the second half numbers for Drake Maye, 13 of 14 for 184 yards. Couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
Nope.
Couldn't stop him. Unreal.
Yeah. He didn't scramble for a lot. I mean, but he made plays on the run. Like he runs for, May ends up running for 12 yards. 3 for 12. He didn't. The Bills did a good job keeping him in. He just extended some plays. A couple more comments here. We've got people firing us comments. And this one's kind of like this. Fine and knowledgeable gentlemen, please help me sleep well tonight by letting me know when Hairston will be back.
Sometime after the bye would be my guess. I think the Bills want to get through the bye, get through this Atlanta game, and then you're going to see a bit of a roster reset as you get suspended players back. I think that the challenge with Hairston, and I don't mean to sound like Sean McDermott, but legitimately he's got to get the leg right. And then he's got to learn how to play the game, right? He's missed so much practice time. I mean, and he's never played in the NFL. So I think getting the knee healthy is half the battle. The other half is like getting up to speed and ready to contribute in an NFL game. Obviously, I think the appetite for that should be growing, but I think there's a needle to thread there, and it's not an easy one here in the middle of the season.
And we did see, I don't know how many, I want to get the snap counts tomorrow, obviously, but we did see Landon Jackson on the field a few times. I did notice him on the field a few times.
Yeah. My response to that, let me sleep tonight with the Hairston news would be the phrase is, don't lose sleep. You might, because it might be a while. I feel the feeling that Sean McDermott kind of even went ahead and said he wants to manage expectations, because it's not just about getting him off IR and into practice, but where they feel good enough to put him out there. And, we'll see about Dorian Strong, if that factors into them getting him on the field sooner, because they might be desperate at that spot. And we'll see if somebody comes available in the trade market before the deadline. Jerry, do you have interest in Tariq Woolen, who is said to be available?
Tariq Woolen doesn't really want to tackle anybody. I mean, he would certainly help in coverage. He's also a player isn't he staring at a contract extension, and that's probably one of those like pretty expensive ones. I don't know if Seattle's going to give him away either. So that feels complicated. It's not that I don't want to get better at corner. Like, trust me, I do. But is that the type of player that's going to fit your defense? I don't know. He'd be better in coverage. He'd be worse tackling. So there's some give and take there, and you're giving up an asset for a player that, let's be honest, the Bills are not going to pay him a long-term market contract, and I think that's something you have to factor into that.
And in the middle open defense, majority of the time, you better be able to play the run and play contain and tackle, and that just does not work.
No. Another comment here. What did you guys think about this? Bob writes, in the Bills struggle in Vrabel-type games. And I started this one because I feel like in our heads, we can all picture like, a Vrabel-type game. Do the Bills struggle in Vrabel-type games? Fun fact, Mike Vrabel now has 3 wins against Sean McDermott, and the only other coach to have that is Bill Belichick. Nobody's beaten McDermott 3 times, more than 3 times. So Vrabel has had some success throughout the years. Do you agree the Bills struggle in Vrabel-type games? And what is a Vrabel-type game?
I don't know. The last time they played, Vrabel was 34-10. And he was pulling his starters going into the fourth quarter. The game before that was a 41-7 win over Vrabel.
Well, those weren't Vrabel-type games.
Well, what does that even mean?
I know.
Well, I think it means the ugly kind of grinder type game is what he's talking
then
about.
The Bills just had 3 great Vrabel-type wins that nobody was happy about the previous 3 weeks.
No, I it's one of those spots where they get accused of only winning blowouts and not winning enough one possession games. This is a narrative that pops up every couple of years. The Bills have 2 wins this year that would have been 1-score games, but then they pulled away late. They kick a field goal to make it a 2 possession game. They did it against Miami. It went from 9-12 against the Saints. Like, I don't really buy that stuff. The Bills don't lose often, and when they do lose, they tend to lose by 3. They don't tend to lose by 14 all that often. So I think that's kind of a natural reaction a lot of us have. So anyone else that needs a call out here? The Patriots rookie kicker hitting from distance. I mean,
that was going to be good from 100 yards. It felt like, geez.
All the credit to Drake Maye, but here's their kicker who had a heck of a game. Marcus Jones had a nice game for them as well. So
yeah, he got an interception, and then early in the game, the Bills got him ISO'd up on Keon Coleman, and Marcus out-leveraged him for the ball and won it. It wasn't picked off, but Keon was out-physicaled at the catch point by a 5'7" corner.
I have to see it on all 22, but I think that Jonathan Farmer was a pretty nice-looking rookie. I think he did a few things. I know he did get the penalty on that just ridiculous late hit, but yeah. I think one thing was funny on the sidelines in New England, the rookie mistakes that were made and stuff. Vrabel was not getting on anybody. Everything was, it's all right, man. Just everybody calm down. Like you could see the way they were coaching because of being such a young team, just kind of trying to keep everybody,
foil that against Aaron Glenn in the Jets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought Vrabel was going to be pretty fired up after Stevenson fumbled earlier. He was like 6 fumbles in the last 10 games. Yeah. And what was the messaging from the sideline reporters? Like, hey, we're going to need you. It's a 4-quarter game, like no panic. So, yeah, I think it's good on Vrabel to kind of become the exact coach that the team needed tonight.
Get one more comment in here. See what you guys think of this from a listener. Toughness, not a characteristic of the Bills, and the physical aspect of the game. In other words, they're soft. Do you think that is a reasonable thing to say about the Bills' defense, the way they play defense? They're not physical enough. We know tackling is a problem. Do you feel like they're not physical enough?
I think that I don't think that's true. I think the Bills are a tough football team. I don't think they're I think the way they are asked to play defense and how they play defense with speed linebackers and penetration maybe shows something of not being physical, but they are a tough-minded football team. I don't think they've come through too many things to say they're not tough. I think that their style of play maybe alludes to a lack of physicality, and they have had issues up the middle, which sometimes can be looked at as not physical, but I don't think they're a soft football team by no means.
Yeah, I'd agree with what Jerry said. I thought there was a lot of good physical tackles. I think sometimes we can become a little bit exaggerating based on a result not going the way that we want it to. And, the sun's going to rise tomorrow and the Bills will play the Atlanta Falcons next Monday. Right. You'll see what happens.
And like I said at the beginning, I do think New England came in and was looking for a fight and was pushing the issue, but I don't think that the Bills backed down from that and were soft by no means. Yeah, go ahead.
It's almost like the Bills were too aggressive tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
It's probably not anything anybody wants to hear, but I don't. I think if they would have played a little bit more of their normal game, I think the result could have been a little different.
Yeah.
One more follow-up to this. They are physical. How about undersized? I don't know.
I do agree with that in certain positions. I really do. I think that's why the play of Shaq Thompson's sticking out, because he's kind of different than everybody else. I mean, Milano isn't terribly big and is more of a speed linebacker, and we know where Bernard's not big and he's completely a speed linebacker. Yeah, I think at some positions they are small, but we don't have the 350-pound run plugging nose guard, although I guess Dorian Walker's kind of getting close. But yeah, I just think that we probably are smaller in some spots, but this is a team that's very successful doing what they do. They run, they're incredibly athletic, and that's what they do. So,
well, we'll be back during the week. Thursday, our normal show. We'll digest this, look at the L22, everything, see how it all goes, get reaction, comments from podiums, Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs. Patriots win.
I want to hear McDermott.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he talked about penalties and turnovers.
Oh, of course. And
that's all he talked about.
Josh Allen quotes, his offense was piss poor. So,
Yeah.
there'll be some good quotes coming out.
Yeah.
I'll be motivated. All right. Well, the Bills fall. Final score 23-20. Perhaps a bit of a, advancing of this rivalry. Could be a little more interesting. And if you're looking for a silver lining, that's that. Guys, I went to this game. I wore a white shirt, no stains on it. I managed to stay stain-free. Yeah,
big dubs.
Stain-free. You're wearing, Joe, I see you're wearing your the gear for this game, which is
no
pretty
stains
good.
from the couch either. Kids were
Love it.
asleep. You know what I mean? Avoided all that. So we're
Love
good.
it. So
No
it was great.
No skunks.
No skunks, brother. No skunks.
It was a great night at the stadium. The Bills lose, unfortunately, but like another great night at the stadium. So many people are getting to the stadium. This the final year out there talking to people from Missouri and California and Kentucky. Like Bills Mafia from all over the place is showing out for the final year of Highmark Stadium. It's really cool. Unfortunately, those that went tonight, they saw a loss to the Patriots. So we'll chat about it during the week in advance, of course, and talk about Atlanta as we move forward. Gentlemen, have a good night. I'll be up early in the morning, and then we'll keep rolling talking Bills and, off to Atlanta. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.